to Station 54, Nevada City's finest. Thank you, Sam, everybody here. And thank you so much, you older generation of ladies. You know, you represent the best of Nevada City. And I just think it's wonderful that that we're formally recognizing you. We read this proclamation that at our last city council meeting. We have a framed proclamation that we're mounting in the front office so that everybody can see it. I'm just here to say hi and thank you so much, and you represent the best of Nevada City. And I think Mark is going to talk. Oh, excuse me, Sam? Ken Baker is going to talk and give us a little history about what these lovely ladies have done over the years and how they've contributed to our town. And here you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops.
Careful.
So of course I had to rely on my mother to get me the information correct, and I have this little cheat sheet that lists all the past presidents of the Nevada City Fire Auxiliary. And it was intriguing to me that the auxiliary started in 1938. I mean, I think that's a remarkable year, and it's been in existence, and it has been in existence up until 2013, when the ladies all got together and dissolved their slush fund so they couldn't go for meals and cocktails at the local restaurant. But I think they gave that money back to the fire department, as they had been doing over the years, as they were very instrumental in doing the fundraising for the Nevada City Fire Department. I think everyone here knows that the Nevada City Fire Department was made up of two engine companies, Nevada Engine Company number 1 and Penn Engine Company number 2. Of course, Penn Engine Company number 2 was the best company because Roy Brooks and I were in that one. and the other thing that made us better was that we had some income. We had the little fire cottage up on Broad Street, right above the firehouse at that time, and so we were able to fund our meals rather than have to support our own meals. So when we had our corned beef and cabbage meal, we were able to do that. But the reason to give you the background for the fire department and the two engine companies was that they alternated fire chiefs from one year to the other. Nevada Hose number 1 year, and Penn Engine Company number 2 the next year, and the assistant chief was coming up at the same time the chief rotated up. And while that was going on, the ladies elected their president of the auxiliary to coincide with the chief and the assistant chief of the fire department. So the chief and the president of the auxiliary were able to work together on efforts to bolster and enhance the fire department itself, and to do the social things and fundraising things that the auxiliary did. My mom was quick to point out that they did a yearly party for children in the community at the Seaman's Lodge Hall, where they dressed up Santa Claus, and I can't remember who that was all the time, but I remember Bob Piercy was the Santa Claus one year. Don Wassley was a Santa Claus, but I know that Ted Sigourney drove them up on Big Red with lights and sirens all going, and then they got off in great fanfare and went into Seaman's Lodge for the Christmas party. And I don't know how many of you can remember the fundraisers that were a clothesline across Broad Street when we strung Broad Street with various themes by making them out of old clothing and hung mannequins and so forth. Well, I think the auxiliary, through the efforts of Elsie and Georgine and my mom, and I'm sure everyone in the auxiliary, came in first or second almost every year with their gorgeous themes and the way they decorated. They had that pizzazz. And I can remember that my mom and Elsie and a lot of the other girls, I think the decorations were made at Elsie's house. They would go up and make flowers and streamers and all those things to decorate for the May dance, and I'm sure they did it for the Christmas parties also. So the auxiliary was very instrumental in supporting the fire department. They raised money for special equipment when the department was able to buy Big Red, the fire engine that we all learned to love. They raised a lot of money for the rescue cars of Nevada City. The ambulance service in Nevada City and Grass Valley, when I was growing up, which is a few years ago now, was run by Bergman Funeral Home in Nevada City and Hooper and Weaver Funeral Home in Grass Valley. So they also had the ambulance service. Well, it seemed like that was the last trip rather than a future trip. So the fire department started to get together and thought, well, we should have rescue cars. So Nevada City was second only to Grass Valley in the preparation of rescue car. And actually our first rescue car, as I recall it, was an old hearse that we converted over, got it painted, and put all the equipment into it to where it was loaded down so bad that I'm not sure that the old hearse would even make the call, but we managed to make it work. We had that for about 3 or so years, and then the auxiliary got together and the fire department got together and we started raising money. And the city actually helped us get the chassis bought, and then we, through donations and the hard work of the auxiliary and the department, were able to equip the car with all the modern paraphernalia that was necessary at that time. Certainly nothing like this wonderful fire department gets to work with today. But it was the way that we made it work in Nevada City at the time. They had cupcake sales, they did toy repairs, they did all the things that were necessary in a small community to enhance the community and to make their fire department very proud of them and also proud in the community. Some of the past presidents, I know that most of you probably don't remember Dolly Sigourney. That was Ted Sigourney's mother. Ted Sigourney was probably our longest standing fire engine operator. I'm not sure of what his title was. Sam, do you know what his title was? He was, I think, maybe the engineer, but he was probably our first time full-time fire department person. He lived across the street from the firehouse. He lived across the street. Later lived upstairs in the fire station. And then Herb Hallett was there too, because he was a member of the city crew, so the city crew always responded. Norman Oates, a member of the city crew, also drove the fire truck. But they were all supported by the auxiliary, and I think that's the important thing, and that's why we're here today, is to recognize all the good things that the fire auxiliary did for the Nevada City Fire Department and for the city of Nevada City. You know, I think it's ironic to me, and I'm very appreciative of Dave Parker. It took an outsider to get us all together here today. Dave is not a member of the fire department, but he has a keen eye for the history and the love of Nevada City. So it was Dave's idea to get us here today, and I'm grateful to him, and all the fire auxiliary ladies that are here today are grateful. So thank you, Dave.
I think you did very well, Ken. You'll probably speak a lot longer than I will. But again, I just wanted to say thank you and tell you how appreciative I am to have the ladies from the Fire Auxiliary come and be here for this presentation of the Proclamation. And again, a special thank you to Councilmember Parker for pulling this all together, for suggesting that we have this event, and it's very appropriate, and it's a long time in coming. So in the other room, we've already hung the proclamation, and I invite you to come over there and take a look at it.
Maybe all the fire ladies could just come up and introduce themselves.
Sure, sure, that would be awesome.
When they joined the fire department.
No way.
Mom,
I have your number.
Okay. Thank you, Betty.
I'm Betty Dalpez. Oh, here. I'm Betty Dalpez.
And when did you join?
Georgine's looking that up right now.
We all joined 11/1960.
Oh my goodness, 11 of 1960. And I think I was married like 4 or 5 months to Ray Dalpez, so, and he was a fireman.
Do you remember anything specific stand out when you were involved?
Well, the things that I remember a lot is the fun that we had, not only at the meetings, some disagreements, but mostly fun. And the parties that we would have, they were the best. And as you say, working on raising money and so forth, we all did things together. There wasn't a whole lot of disagreement and anything like that. It was all working for one cause.
Thank you. Who else is here?
Sandra,
Sandra?
she's a past president also.
Sandra Brooks, past president, 63, 64. I don't know what year I joined, but I remember working on a float for the 4th of July Betty Delpez, Phyllis Danis, and myself were all 7 months pregnant, but we're out on the freeway collecting rocks to do the picnic float.
We were also at SPD selling bakeware.
Oh, yes, we always went to bake sales. Yes. Yes, and the floats that we worked on for the 4th of July, they were beautiful then. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Elsie, you want to come on up?
Not a past president, but
Always a member.
had a lot of fun. I remember making sandwiches and serving coffee to the firemen sometimes when there's a big fire downtown. And they'd come back to the firehouse and we'd have coffee and sandwiches for them. Also, every year we took turns going back and forth with the Grass Valley Auxiliary. And we liked to play games when we would have parties, but they liked to play whist, and we were always afraid to play whist because none of us were very good at it. Remember that?
Lose all our money.
Oh, gosh. But it was a wonderful organization. We had a lot of good times and a lot of joy in serving and working for the firemen because they were our friends and our husbands and family members. It was great.
It was.
And I don't know what year I joined.
July of 1951.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that was a couple years ago. Okay. Pat, you want to come up?
What are we, just sharing?
We're just sharing. When did you join? Do you remember? When did Pat join? 1979.
Okay, so what I remember was the firemen's ball, and they all dressed up like ballerinas. And so we had all these guys in their tutus. That was a great one. And then, yeah,
The makings.
yeah, okay. What a hoot. And then I also was one of the preggy moms, and Georgina gave me a baby shower. Jocelyn was born in 76, and Joshua was born in 81, and I don't remember which one it was, but anyway, one of them. Anyway, it was just a wonderful group of ladies, and we just really had a good time together and supported our fire department, because it was mostly volunteer back then. Yeah.
Yeah. Who else is here? Come on up. Now that you can talk, Leona, you can.
Leona Powell, in
October 1989.
October 1989 I joined. That was a long time ago. I really just remember the camaraderie we had at our meetings and the good times, and when there was a fire, we'd all get together and help out. If it was going to be a big, long fire, we were always there for the firemen, and because, like most of us, our husbands were part of the fire.
Thank you. Sheila?
There's nothing more I can add.
Come on, when did you join?
I don't know.
1975? Anyone else here that we missed?
Yeah. Come and tell the story you
Let
did
me
the
see
other
if I
night.
No, we'll come right here.
I'm going to tell a story. I think the funnest story that I can tell you is that one day Margie Larson, a little lovely fire auxiliary who would do anything for the fire auxiliary, was at the city hall. Perhaps she was paying her garbage bill or her water bill or something, and the alarm came in. Now Margie was only about 5 feet tall at the most, and she went out. When the bells rang, she went out, opened the doors, got in Big Red somehow, turned on all the lights, turned on all the sirens, and somehow got that big truck down in front of the Alpha Hardware, where Carl Stedger came out and pulled her out and got in behind the wheel. So Margie was really our hero. She would do anything for the fire auxiliary, but driving the truck was really kind of beyond. Anyway, she was. And another thing that I'll always remember is that we had such wonderful potlucks. And what did Angie Falcone always bring? homemade raviolas. And what did all the fire auxiliary girls do? All fought to get to her dish before it was gone.
Or Sandra's mushroom dish, yeah.
Oh, yeah, oh, mushrooms. Quite frankly, the fire auxiliary ladies are excellent cooks, they still are. They're grandmothers and great-grandmothers and what have you, and we can still cook.
We put out a cookbook.
Yes, we did, we had a cookbook, that's true. Very true. And let's see, what else can I tell you except fire auxiliary was always a joy. We at one time had 40 members, which was a lot. And one time we were out at Seaman's Lodge in Beverly, Coughlin, and somebody else dressed up in long underwear with balloons inside of the long underwear. It was very exciting. That's about it.
Thank you.
I loved it.
And if you're married to a fireman, that's what you do. You join the fire auxiliary, and it was my life, it was my family, it was just pride of community, and it was very important to those that belonged, and it was very important to the community. Even though we were a small group, we were the heart of the city and of the community fire department. So thank you, Dave, for bringing this up and showing the importance of it. I appreciate it.
The one thing I can remember is all of us remember Frank Galino. We all love Frank Galino, and we remember Marion Jadoti. Well, Marion and I were in the Nevada City Seroptimus Club, and when Ken was talking about the fire getting a new rescue car, I remember Seroptimus, Marion Jadoti, got everybody in town to come. We had a spaghetti feed at the Elks to raise money to help put it over. And Frank was in the kitchen, and we had people down the stairs, up the street, everywhere, coming to the spaghetti dinner. And he was so afraid he was going to run out of sauce. But that was actually, you know, a big thing in town that day or that night. And also, I remember the tutus. That was a fun, we used to have a fireman's ball every year, and everyone can remember that. It was at old Nevada City Elks, and we had a wonderful time. Lots of people would come and support us, or buy the tickets. And we round, yeah.
And the guys looked better than we did in
Yes, yes, they did, yes. Yeah. And can't think of anything else other than what everyone has said. We were a great group of ladies, always supported one another. And I think the last fire I remember, Alma and I were down on the street helping get food and hot coffee from all the restaurants to help feed all the firemen that were here from everywhere. And, you know, I think that's the last big fire we had in town.
So let's hope so.
And the other thing I think that we should remember was that we had a booth at the fair, and Alicia Tobiasen taught those guys how to make corn dogs. Wasn't it corn dogs that you guys made? Yeah. Though the first one we had little tiny pizzas. I remember, that we put in little warming ovens. Yeah. And then we advanced to the corn dogs that she helped the firemen make. And then they even made them downtown for Cornish Christmas, or Victorian Christmas. Yeah, we did that.
The auxiliary is very active.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give it to Ken now. Maybe I've touched some subjects that they all remember.
Not at all, Georgine. It's wonderful, and thank you, all the auxiliary ladies, for stepping forward and saying a little something. I just thought I'd read you a news article that is circa 1957 that speaks to the modernization of the Nevada City Fire Department. Sam will probably get a kick out of this, but it's entitled "Fire Laddies Break Arches, So Historic Brass Pole Must Go." One of the city's strongest links with the past decades, the vertical brass rail by which volunteer firemen slide from the top floor of the city firehouse to street level, will be removed soon. The city council voted last night that the polished brass rail must go because, one, Many firemen not properly trained in the use of the rail broke their arches when they struck the concrete floor below. 2, the opening around the rail allows the heat to be wasted from the bottom floor to the city attic. 3, many firemen unable to cling closely to the rail bruise their elbows and knees as they flash through the narrow aperture around the brass rail. 4, a salvage concern may pay a fancy price for the 36-foot piece of polished brass. Besides, Chief Ralph Piercy said, also a city councilman reported, firemen on the top floor can come down safer. It's not faster by using the stairs, and it is not faster, but by using the stairs and without unfortunate pileups that frequently result, we'll have less injuries. And then there's a picture of a fireman coming down with the brass rail removed, coming straight down through the hole. So, thank you all. It's been a great honor for me to be able to have been a fireman. My dad was fire chief in 1957. I was fire chief in 1972. My grandfather was fire chief before my dad, and his dad was a city councilman with the founding of the current city hall in Nevada City. So it's a great honor for me to be here today. I'm very pleased with the turnout. And again, Dave, thanks very much for everything you did. And Mark, thank you too.
I'm hoping you'll all partake in some refreshments before we go, and let's all before we leave, take a look out at the Proclamation. And thank you all for all your help and everything you've done for Nevada City, and I hope you carry on.